This right here, this is my six-figure reselling business. I'm talking a warehouse packed with inventory, a team that helps me ship hundreds of orders a week, and a bottom line that completely changed my life. But it all started with just one $100 bill, a wholesale store down the street, and a personal commitment to never ever try drop shipping again. After my first time, I don't want to go back. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact story of how I strategically flipped and reinvested every single dollar to turn the $100 into a full-time reselling business, and how you can do it too. Let's start here. Number one, I started literally phone flipping, and I didn't have a bunch of money to resource into investments because I was still trying to maintain living. Now, to give you a rundown of who I am, my name is Brandon. I'm a reseller. I was born in Philly, but my mother moved me to New Jersey for schooling. I wasn't really good at school. I didn't like sitting in class, learning about things I would never ever really utilize in life. So I usually periodically would go and just drift into my own imagination, trying to build business plans. I built business plans for a bunch of businesses that I ain't never even tried to actually really do. But the point is, I always had dreams and aspirations. One of these dreams was for me to be able to operate my own physical store location. Now, me telling my mom I didn't want to go to college wasn't really good. She told me I had two choices: go to college or get out her house. I got out her house, moved with my grandmother. Now, that was actually very, very beneficial for me. That's one reason why I wouldn't, and I would tell you guys too, don't really hold anger towards anyone that has shooed you away, because sometimes that's what we need to make us become a better version of ourselves. Now, moving forward, I ended up starting my own business, and I started with $100. And I'm gonna break down in this video exactly how I turned that into more money in six figures. But first, I do have to let you guys know I did try drop shipping. And how is drop shipping? Well, drop shipping actually made me go broke. It actually made me have to go back to the drawing board because I wanted to essentially drop ship while I was at my grandmother's without having to source any products because I didn't have any room. Well, I did it, and I made a little money, and it did not actually ever get and hit my account because I consistently made money, got chargebacks, made money, paid bills for extensions that didn't really help me recoup an investment. And I ended up in a loop, in a cycle of failing, trying, until I did these few things. And I'm going to break down to you guys exactly what steps I took so you guys can put these steps into your foundation, make them work for you. Okay, so let's make this very clear. When it comes to starting your business, I'm not about to tell anybody, hey, do this and do that and get six figures. It doesn't work that way. And most people that watch this will forget one of the three steps that I'm going to break down to you in depth, and they're not even going to hit 50K this year especially. Now, this is the beginning of the year, so you have an ample amount of time to actually put this plan into play in any industry, not just electronics or even clothing, but a bunch of different industries out there that maybe you have interest in. Now, I want to make this very clear. You don't need to start your business, whether it's a electronic reselling or clothing reselling or whatever, just because you like that product. Electronics, fun fact, I don't like. It's not something I really enjoy myself. Phones, I don't like. I'm not a phone enthusiast like I used to be. There's no reason for you to only have to do a business because you're in love with the product. Yes, being in love with the product is a benefit, but if the product is selling and supplying demand, don't ever be afraid to sell it, provide it, and also profit from it. So starting out, we're gonna talk about the product buckets, okay? Now, I break it down like this. You have a low ticket, mid ticket, and a high ticket product bucket. Now, each product bucket is talking about how much it costs you to acquire a product. If a product is $1.50, it's low ticket. If a product is $65, that's going to be mid. And if a product is over $100, that's going to be high. Now, this is going to vary depending on your industry and also how much money you have to actually deal with. Now, me first starting out, that was around my type of consensus when it came to the buckets. If I'm spending $1.50 on a charger, that's going to be a low ticket product. If I'm spending anywhere above $50, that's mid. And of course, if I am talking about spending over $100, that's high. Because I was working with the budget, and a lot of us are, and that's okay. It's okay not to need or want to put all of your money into your reselling business. What's not okay is saying I don't want to put any money into it, I just want to benefit from it, and I also don't expect to do a bunch of hard work, well, maybe even more work than the typical person. Because if you don't put anything in, you're gonna have to put more work in, and it might drain you and make you more inefficient or even fail. So keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the low ticket, it's important to understand that a low ticket device is going to be something that does not cost you a lot of money, right? Something that costs you $20 and below. A mid ticket will be something in a range of $20 all the way up to $100. And then a high ticket is going to be $100 plus. So if I was going to give you guys an example, a speaker could become a high ticket product for me. It could be between high ticket and mid, because sometimes it costs me $150 to get a big DJ speaker wholesale, or it might cost me $65 to get a nice Bluetooth speaker. And when it comes to low ticket, that's going to be the chargers, the Type-C adapters, and those type of products. Why is it important to know these type of product categories in that industry you're reselling or trying to create your business with? Well, it's important because when you are having sales, promotions, or even when you're trying to liquidate certain products, you want to understand exactly what type of products you're actually finding yourself not selling or finding yourself selling a lot of, because it helps you when it comes to our third step, which we'll get to, which is making the money work for you. Okay, so speaking of making money work for you, here is my system when it comes to profit margin. Your profit margin is going to be the percentage that you are actually making versus what you are acquiring the product for versus what you're selling it. So for example, we have mid, low, and high, right? Now, think about it like this. The higher you actually have to actually pay for the product, the lower your profit margin is going to be. If I'm buying an iPhone 16 Pro Max to resell in store, I know that that phone is going to cost me a lot of money. So I'm probably going to only be able to make a 10% profit or maybe even a 15% profit. If I know I'm selling a charger that may cost me $1, I know I could mark that up to a 65 to 75% profit margin. It all depends on exactly how much that product costs you. Now, here is the system that I'm using when I'm anticipating profit margins. So a low ticket product, I want around 45 to 65% profit margin. So if I'm selling a charger, I can literally go into a profit margin calculator and say, okay, I want to make 45% profit margin from all chargers that I have on my store, or I want to make 65% profit margins. It fluctuates. You can really decide how much you want to make, but having it uniform allows you to integrate new products that you actually get in store easier when it comes to you actually marking up the price. Now, also account for the sales and different promotions you may have. So if I was someone that wanted to be fair, I can go ahead and hike my chargers up 35% profit margins if they cost me $1.50, and I'll be selling for like $2.30 something cents. Well, that's cool, but again, I could sell them for $5, and that was going to be easily around a 60 to 65% profit margin. Again, my numbers may not be as accurate because I'm not using a profit margin calculator. I know for a fact that when I type this stuff up in my Google Sheets that I have all of my products and inventory in, I know that I have, okay, all Type-C to Type-C chargers are going to be a 35% profit margin. All Type-C to Lightning are going to be a 30% profit margin. And also all USB to Lightning is going to be 30% profit margin. Well, Brandon, why do you have all those profit margins the same? Well, because they all cost me the same amount to acquire. So it gives me a uniformed approach. Depending on if the price stays the same for me to acquire the goods, the profit margin will too. Now, let's say my supplier says, all right, Brandon, we want to charge you 50% more. Well, now my profit margin is going to have to go up. I can make it go up 1% or I can make it go up 2%. But no matter what, now the scales just change as the supplier's prices do as well. This helps you. Now, when it comes to mid, the profit margin percentage that I usually go for is going to be 35 to 40% profit margin. This gives me more wiggle room and also allows me to keep the pricing for the customer at an accurate and obtainable amount. Again, you don't want to make it a 65% profit margin for mid-tier when that might not be the value the customer actually sees it at. And then when it comes for high ticket, this is where the profit margins get a little lower. That's why you don't want to invest in high ticket profit, or that is why you don't want to invest in high ticket products starting out, especially if you're just starting with $100. So the profit margins we're working with is 25 to 30% that I actually will change or alter my prices to actually be with high ticket products. Again, it's a scale. It's something that keeps it uniform, but also the approach allows me to make sure I'm always walking out profitable and can maintain my pricing no matter what the distributor is actually charging us. And I'll give you guys one last example. Trump, he initiated tariffs in the beginning of last year. Well, those tariffs did affect me, but my profit margins were so healthy that I was able to actually keep the products the same exact price and the customers were never affected. Now, a lot of companies don't do this. They rather just make the customers suffer because they want to make more money. But for me, with resellers and people that are already starting with limited funds, I knew for a fact that it would be beneficial if I ate that cost and allowed my profit margin to speak rather than having customers have to pay more because their bottom lines would then stretch. But if you make sure you have a system in place with your profit margins, your business can become almost bulletproof. And this is something you want to make sure you do to make sure you're making profit, keeping profit, but also making sure your customers feel loved and like they're getting value. Now, the next step on your 100K or your six-figure journey is going to be knowing the platform that you want to sell on. Now, while in this video, I'm not breaking down too many numbers because I want to keep it systematic, I want to make you understand. It's not that you're not going to make 100K or six figures this year, but it is important that you don't go in with the idea that I'm going to just make this money, because it does take failing and learning to get to that point, right? Well, where do we put those products that are low, high, and mid? Well, you want to make sure that you have some type of storefront. Now, I tell my students this all the time. You're not going to want to sell on one platform or even just two. And you also don't just want to sell online. I said it. Finally, somebody tells you the truth. Selling just online isn't going to help you, especially when it comes to your brand. You want to go to flea markets, pop-up shops, or even just negotiate with places like LA Fitness and all of these different little Walmarts, Targets, wherever your business fits, you want to try and negotiate, right? To get a spot in there, even if you have to pay a little bit, because getting that visibility and also seeing those customers pick up your products allows you to take pictures, videos, and also see what the customer thinks of the quality. This actually helped me when it came to my business. Now, let's talk about stores online. Well, you want to think about it like this. You want to start with at least 3 platforms that you are selling on. Now, if we're just doing an example, we could do eBay, we could do Mercari, and we could do Poshmark. Those are going to be 3 storefronts that we're going to use. So number 1 right here, we have our products. We're then going to funnel all of our products into these 3 sections, 3 storefronts. Now, pay attention. These storefronts don't cost us money. So all you guys out there that are trying to start on Amazon, you're already starting off with a loss because you are paying for a platform that is already taking fees from your products and also charging you to be on the platform. Now, this would make sense if the platform guaranteed that you would have high visibility, but you have a bunch of different ways that you could get more visibility than just sitting on Amazon. You can go to Walmart. You know, Walmart has a eBay-like platform. It's called Walmart Seller Central. You could literally go ahead and create one of those and start selling on Walmart too. Now that we have these 3 storefronts, there's another little section you don't want to look over, and that's going to be funnels. You want to funnel all of the customers from all 3 of these platforms onto one website where you're capturing a lead. Make it very clear. Let me cook. So when it comes to these platforms, you're now going to want to funnel every customer that purchases from these platforms, anything on your storefront, right, to go to your main website or some type of lead form. So get a MailChimp lead form or a landing page, get a Wix landing page, a Shopify landing page, a Shopify website, a Wix website, whatever website browser or landing page you want to use, Stand Store, Beacons, whatever, right? You could literally just capture these leads. Now, how would you do that though? Brandon, how am I gonna actually have these customers come and put their first and last name and email into a section when they already bought the product? Well, you have to offer a discount, and this is where our product margins that we talked about in the beginning come into play. We already have healthy product margins, so we already understand that the profit from those margins are going to still be lucrative, But we might take a little loss just because somebody actually filled out a form, which I'm willing to do, because now that customer is going to become repetitive. That means they're going to come back. And also they see that I'm willing to give value. Therefore, they give me their name and permission to email them. Now I have them as a lead. Now I can close them on more deals, give them more information about more sales I have. Plus, I don't got to pay the eBay fees or the Walmart fees or the Poshmark fees. Instead, it all comes to me. This is going to be something a lot of resellers skip over. You know, it's not about you just having an eBay or Mercari or even an OfferUp or Facebook. It's about how many customers you can get to buy from those platforms and then funnel into your own platform so your brand becomes the brand that's recognized instead of an eBay or a Mercari, right? If they buy your product from eBay or Mercari, they're gonna say, I brought this product off of eBay. Like, how many of us has brought something off of Amazon? And when somebody says, oh, that's nice, where did you get it? They don't say, oh, I got it from WESPOY. No, they say they got it from Amazon. So really, these companies are benefiting off of the products you are putting on their platforms, plus they're getting the brand recognition. You end up with nothing but money. And you think the money is the value, when in reality, the brand will always be the value. And that's where resellers lose their trajectory to that 100K. Because see, you think that the brand isn't as valuable, you think the money is. The money isn't gonna get you the 100K, the brand is, because when people keep coming back, that's when you win. Residual income is the fastest way to get to six figures. Having people that have already experienced your brand, that's where you're going to make that six figures, not by just selling chargers, headphones, replicas, or whatever you're selling on that platform or those platforms. Next, let's talk about making the money work for you. Money is going to be a third step, understanding how to use the money. Now, I'm going to break down this system, very simple, and you guys could literally start doing this today. The title says we're starting with $100, right? So your change fund, which is going to be a fund that you don't touch and you want to make sure you're consistently reinvesting into and replicating and duplicating and flipping, okay? So I'll break it down like this. You have $100, you put it in this change fund. That could be a drawer that you have, a shoebox, an envelope, a folder. Keep that $100 in there, okay? The only time that $100 is going to be used is when it comes to your business, your products, not your marketing, not Facebook ads, none of that. It's going to only be used when you are buying something that is going to make more. So every dollar of that 100 needs to be multiplied into whatever. It could be another dollar, so it makes it $2. It could be 50 cents. It could be a penny. Regardless, you want to multiply that $100. This is key. Understanding that that change fund needs to be broken down. Now, see, this is where people don't really, even with phone flipping, understand how to flip money. That $100 is going to turn into more because we're going to take that $100 and put it into more products. But what happens when we start seeing, okay, I tamped $100 to 200? What do I do? Well, what you have to do is you're going to have to separate it. 50% of that $100 should go back into whatever worked. That is when you have to start to realize delegating that change fund into buckets is more effective than just, hey, I'm going to just take $20, put it into my bank account and spend it, and then the rest I'm just gonna try and reinvest. Because see, we all think we're gonna reinvest and put money back in, but how many times do things come up and then we end up spending it, right? So what you wanna do is you wanna have a uniform system. What my system is this. When I make money, so we're gonna say that $200 from my change fund, so that means now I have 200 because I had $100 already. I mean, $100 profit, $200. From there, 50% is going to go towards whatever worked. Whatever worked, we got to duplicate it. So if it worked once, we got to make it work twice. Then we got to make it work 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Whatever works, we're going to keep putting money into. But now we have another 50% we got to actually delegate. You have to pay yourself, right? When you don't pay yourself, you start forgetting that you're actually making something from this and it becomes more of a chore. You stop realizing the benefit. So even if it's a little bit of money, you want to take 25% from that 50 that we have left, and you want to put that in your account. In this case, since we had 200, we're going to put $100 back into whatever worked. Then we're going to make sure that we're going to spend $50 and put it in our bank account, and we can do whatever we want, pay bills, whatever.
The next 50 we're going to put towards another product. You see, what ends up happening is you start realizing, yes, Brandon, I'm putting $100 into whatever worked already. I'm just doing the same thing. You're not, because you are also putting $50 into something new, which is going to give you a return. So hopefully that new product that you get is going to bring you another $100, and that would give you $300 in your change fund. This video is fundamentally meant to give you guys the systems, the 3 systems I use to actually build my business to that 6 figures. What I'm gonna do is, in one of my next videos, I'm gonna make sure I break down more numbers product-wise. So I'll be breaking down products like these, products like the replicas, products like the clones, products that actually are benefiting me and making me money. But first, you have to understand the systems. If you don't understand, number 1, the profit buckets, and you have low, mid, and high, and also understanding the profit margins, it doesn't matter how many of these you sell, you're gonna blow the bread. If you don't understand number 2, which is going to be the storefronts, you won't understand that, okay, you got Facebook, you got eBay, you got OfferUp, you got all these platforms, but you need to stick with 3. Then you need to take those 3, you need to funnel them into a website or a lead form where you are actually capturing that customer's information. Then when you capture that customer's information, you now can start promoting, you can start making sure you curate that lead to make it a more lucrative partnership and brand recognition based transaction. And then lastly, the other system is going to be the money working, where you're dealing with your change fund. You're taking 50% of that entire change fund and putting it into It Works. 25% you're paying yourself. The other 25% you're investing in another product or another idea. And this is how you consistently keep duplicating and replicating to get to the 6 figures. You have to realize, guys, the numbers don't seem big now. It doesn't seem like it's a lot of money right now. But what happens is when you have a system, it duplicates, triples, it keeps going up and up and up. And then you'll start seeing, oh man, my change fund is at 5,000. Now 50% is going to go back into It Works. 25% is going into my pocket. I get 2,500. 2,500 is going to another income or another idea or another product. And you start realizing essentially what these systems do is they help you actually have a system with your products for you to be able to price. They help you create customers that actually recognize your brand. And then lastly, they help you keep adding products into your inventory without stressing or getting confused over what works and doesn't. Now, the first thing I will say that is the scariest and the hardest is spending the money that it takes. Whatever you have in your change fund, spend it. Stop sitting on it. And if you have a job, understand this. That change fund is something you want to take from your check and use. You might lose it, but you have a job that will replenish the money for you to try again. If you don't have a job and you're on your last dime, it's okay, because you can still take that money and still make more money. You just have to be more careful and do your research to make sure that the products that you are going to invest in are going to actually be able to make you money. And lastly, I don't want you guys to skip over the fact that I didn't talk about it too much, but you don't just want to sell 3 platforms online. You also can sell in person. Don't forget that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm excited for this year, and I will continue to bring you guys these videos, and it will only get more in depth, and you guys can make sure you subscribe to keep getting this content. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out my other channels as well. Hustler Taught Me is my channel where I break down more number-wise things on products and how you can actually flip and make money. We're talking more figures and talking about income more and talking about the numbers a little bit more in depth. And we're also going over best practices and best behaviors on how to replicate your money. Then I have another channel. It's called Is It Worth Flipping? That channel is a channel where I actually will show you my sales selling certain products, and we debunk or we expose products that aren't worth flipping and products that are. We're not talking about products like JBL speakers, but products that you actually can obtain, products from AliExpress, Temu, and all these other platforms. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys comment below to join this month's raffle. I will be making an announcement on the 20th for a Bluetooth speaker. You guys just have to comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. If you comment on every video, every time you comment, you're put into a raffle, okay? Every time you comment, your name is put back in a raffle. I go live and then I do the spinning on the random wheel, and then you will win and you will be able to get the Bluetooth speaker. And I do this just to give back and give you guys products so you can test or even just use. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.